Welcome to PACTV Community News. I'm Maureen Boyle.
And I'm Julie Thompson.
On tonight's episode of PCN, we learn more about the long-term implications of sea level rise in Duxbury.
We talk gun safety and our children with the Plymouth Public Schools and Moms Demand Action. And we see what goes into taking an old building and renovating it into a new living space.
We stop by the recent Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce's Business Expo and check out the new classrooms at the Plymouth Public Library for their literacy and GED programs.
But we start the show at Pembroke High School Congressional App Challenge. Each year, school districts from around the country compete in the Congressional App Challenge, a competition where students work to develop original mobile applications. This year, Congressman Bill Keating stopped by Pembroke High School to award the winners and talk to the students about the importance of the development of these apps. PCN was there to learn more about the 4th Annual App Challenge.
Well, the history, interesting enough, centers right here in Pembroke, where every year this group just excels. And the idea behind it is to encourage people to demonstrate their technical skills, how much they've learned, how they can apply it. And this happens all around the country. And people have the opportunity to see what other people in the country are doing as well.
So our app, Get a Grip on Citizenship, was an idea I came up with. And basically we saw a rising political conflict in the country regarding immigrants and getting naturalization into the country. So we decided to make a study guide for immigrants trying to get citizenship. So basically it involves just basic testing components, the forms in PDF format to apply. And basically it's free to download. Any immigrant looking to transfer into the US could get it, and it should make the process a little easier. That's the goal.
So we spent a long time making this app. It was over the course of probably 3 to 4 months, 3 to 4 months of really tedious work, a lot of research and a lot of studying, because we all learned and took the citizenship test ourselves. So we learned a lot, and so over the course of 3 to 4 months, there was a lot of research and development of the app.
Are so impressive that, selecting your own problems, that these young people in Pembroke High School that say these are important problems. They've identified it, but they've also demonstrated at a young age you can do something to make it better. So it really runs on 2 planes. Number 1, obvious, is the technical ability to do this. But number 2, the thought that there are problems out there that we know about, we live with, we realize we can do something to change it.
Living on the coast comes with its challenges. Darcy Schofield, who works with MAPC, a regional planning agency, knows this very well. She presented about climate vulnerability recently at the First Parish Church in Duxbury as part of their Open Mind Speaker Series.
We're here tonight at the First Parish Church in Duxbury for the Open Mind Speaker Series. The title of our presentation is Water, Water Everywhere, which is really relevant given the number of storms we've had most recently. And so looking at very specifically Duxbury, but also the towns of Kingston and Marshfield on how climate change is impacting us now and into the future. First, I want to bring forward to the table some of the latest data and science related to climate risks. So what we've observed historically in our climate changing and what scientists are projecting into the future. The second piece is how does that science translate into different types of vulnerabilities here in our region, in the South Shore, whether it's coastal flooding or inland flooding or extreme heat, and how that affects the people and the places and the economy and our communities and what's special to us there. And then the third component is what can we do now? I think climate change can be a very daunting and overwhelming issue that seems quite dire, but there's actually quite a bit happening today that we can do and is happening locally, nationally, and around the globe on building a more resilient. So I hope that participants leave today feeling a sense of hope and inspiration that we can remain a vibrant community in the face of climate change. When I work with communities, the first thing I say is let's make a plan. So let's try to understand what those risks are. Let's learn how they're going to affect your community. Let's write that down and evaluate and create a plan. And so working specifically with the town of Duxbury, this climate vulnerability assessment that we'll be doing with them can help enable them to, or other municipalities if they chose to pursue this path, to get grant funding from the state and the federal government towards building more resilient infrastructure. So the first part's making a plan. The second part is starting to educate. The way that we perceive our towns, our communities is changing, and we need to reevaluate the way we envision and redesign and redevelop our communities and protect our communities. And then the third part of it is thinking about incremental investments that we can make for more resilient infrastructure. And that can be anything from changing regulations around flood zones, to requiring certain types of resilience measures in new development. Over 58% of your town is covered in trees, which is really phenomenal. There's 3,500 acres of open space. You have 1,200 acres of salt marsh, and these are really healthy, vibrant ecosystems that are going to weave a fabric of resilience in your community today. So some of the challenges that we're obviously going to see is the sea level rise with storm surge, seeing some more frequent and intense storms like we've just experienced in this winter, and how that's going to impact some of the houses that live on the shoreline or some of the hard infrastructure. So we'll have to rethink some of those things. Some of the other critical things we'll need to think about is how do we preserve the historic assets along the waterfront. It's really a vibrant part of the community of Duxbury is its historic assets, particularly along Washington Street. And Snug Harbor is also a very vulnerable area, but also a center of economy for the town, and a real community gathering space. So revisioning how we're going to look at Snug Harbor and the businesses there so that they're resilient and vibrant and remain those community spaces into the future.
Moms Demand Action was founded by a stay-at-home mom, Shannon Watts, on December 15, 2012, in response to the devastating shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School. While they support the Second Amendment, they believe common sense solutions can help decrease the escalating gun violence that kills children and loved ones every day. The group hosted a meeting at the Plymouth Community Intermediate School. Although the event was planned weeks in advance, it coincided with a recent school shooting at Parkland Douglas High School in Florida. We spoke with the leader of the local chapter of Moms Demand Action just before the event.
What we want to try to do is to prevent the kinds of gun deaths and injuries that occur when an unsupervised child gets access to an unsecured firearm. We expect a big audience. We put out the invitation for this event to the Plymouth School District, so we're expecting parents and other caregivers to come, both gun owners and non-gun owners, because everybody can profit from this program that's about increasing public safety. We have a lot of these meetings. We've actually across the country presented it probably over 1,300 times in at least 40 states. It's a program that was launched in 2015, and we try to bring the message throughout the local communities. Be Smart is a program that is actually a framework that makes it easy for people to remember basic behaviors. So SMART is an acronym, and each letter in SMART stands for a basic behavior. The basic behaviors are S, secure your guns in your homes and vehicles. M, model responsible behavior. A, ask if there are unsecured guns in others' homes. R, recognize the risks of suicide. And T, tell your peers to be smart. Every year, at least 300 children ages 17 and under get their hands on a firearm and cause a tragedy and have their lives cut short. Also, 1 in 3 U.S. households has guns, and 1 in 3 homes with children have guns. And there are 1.7 million children across the country who live in those homes where the firearms are loaded and unlocked. I want to thank the Plymouth School District, really, and the Plymouth Police Department who collaborated with us on this presentation. And really, it's wonderful to have the platform, to have the chance to make sure that not one more family has to grieve the tragedy of a child death, either by unintentional shooting or a suicide. And that's why I do this, because if we can save the life of one child, it's our responsibility to do so.
And the big takeaway, obviously, of that is the whole idea of just handling guns safely, doing as many measures as you can to make sure that guns are secured and they're safe.
Exactly, and I have to say, I really admire the public school systems for simply offering these style forums just for knowledge's sake,
Right.
not for any kind of angle or a specific agenda, but just to better the knowledge in the community. And education is powerful at any age level, so
That's right.
it's great that we have school systems doing this.
Yep.
Have you ever noticed that some of those old buildings in Plymouth have recently been converted into luxury condos and apartments? The company behind these property transformations and revitalizations is Meg Reiko, and this father and daughter team have their sights set on another century-old Plymouth landmark. PCN met up with the company's owner to discuss their plans for the Mount Pleasant School, as well as some of their other projects.
The first building we did in downtown Plymouth was the old Armory building. It was 76 Court Street. That was an old National Guard armory that we converted into 20 high-end luxury condominiums. Completely restored the building, maintained its architectural integrity, its historic integrity, but gave all the finest amenities on the inside. Another property would be the building we're standing in, which is the former Registry of Deeds, again in downtown Plymouth. Former Registry of Deeds building for the state, or the county, I should say, and we acquired that, again, did a historic renovation into 19 luxury condominiums, some with water views, roof deck, pretty spectacular building. We actually have a couple on the horizon, one that's been fully approved and is a project that's near and dear to our heart. It's the old Governor Bradford Hotel right on the waterfront. The second project, so it's the Mount Pleasant School. That was an elementary school, had been there since 1905, and a community school. The town decided they had no longer a need for that school. They put it out for auction. We were the successful bidder. We are proposing to put 12 luxury apartments and our office space in that building. And hopefully that would begin construction sometime in the late spring. We're opportunistic, there's no question about that. We would look at, and we have done new developments and whatnot, but originally the Armory building, actually my daughter Megan, a partner at Meg Reiko, had spotted the Armory and said this is a perfect building, and we started pursuing it and got into it and fell in love with the process of not only bringing it back from a historical nature, but bringing it back to a vital part of the community, bringing 40, 50 people back into the downtown living, having them go out to restaurants and dry cleaners and whatnot, and help the economy. So we've kind of fallen in love with that aspect of it, and that rolled into all of the other properties we talked about.
The Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce is known for throwing some really great community events. We stopped by the Hotel 1620 recently to check out the Business Expo and to see what events are on the horizon.
Today is our 2018 annual Business Expo at Hotel 1620. We've been doing it here for years. It's a great venue for this event. We have over 80 different exhibitors that are here from all different size businesses, from large businesses such as banks and insurance companies down to one to two small person businesses. I think what makes our chamber special, especially to this community, is that we're a very small business-driven chamber. The majority of our businesses are made up of one or two different employees. We don't have a lot of large businesses. It's just because of where we're located. So I think that makes it nice. We're really in tune with what the small business needs are, and we're really close to those businesses. We're made up of 750 different members, and I can honestly say we know each and every one of them. And we're able to do that because we're so involved with each business, and they have relationships with us as well.
We've been a member of the Plymouth Chamber for a couple of years now. This is the first time that we've been an official exhibitor here at the Expo, so super excited to be here. I've attended the event multiple times, and there's always great attendance, and it's great exposure, so we're happy to be here.
We love the Chamber. We love all of them. They help us out greatly. It's also a nice community feel at Rockland Trust. We're all about community, and the Chamber is also all about community. So it's a great partnership that we have. If they need something, they reach out to us. If we need something, we reach out to them. And it's always great when you meet somebody at an event like this, and then you can't remember how to get a hold of them. And the Chamber is great in that way. So it's a really good relationship that we have with them.
The Chamber has a large calendar of events that are coming up. Today is our Business Expo. We have our Empowering Women's panel, which is coming up in May. We have our Bark in the Park event, which people love. That will be in May as well. We have our Restaurant Week coming up, which will actually be in April. And we're doing a new thing this year, Pizza Palooza, which we're going to hold at Cordage Park, and that's going to be in April as well. We're still putting all the details together for that. But as always, we have our large signature events, our Plymouth Waterfront Festival, which is held the end of August, where we have over 40,000 attendees and 280 plus exhibitors and vendors and crafters. It's a great day for the local community, the tourism industry, as well as all the local businesses in town. That would be definitely our signature event, and that happens every August. So we have a full list of items on our calendar, and we are constantly adding new events and whatnot that are coming up.
And he's the one who brought to my attention. Like, we should do this.
Plymouth's Public Library is not only a great place to take out a book, do research work, or even go read the newspaper. Its doors are wide open to anyone who may not have received their high school diploma with their GED and HiSET programs. We spoke with the library's director and literacy coordinator to learn about their programs and the new classrooms being built in the library.
The Plymouth Public Library is very unique in the Commonwealth and actually nationally, that we host a literacy program where people can come, they can start with basic skills, then they work their way through pre-GED, and then they can go for their GED or HiSET, you have a choice, and get a high school diploma when you're done. They can do it all here at the Plymouth Public Library.
We have 3 teachers who teach during the day. We have 3 different levels. And then we have 2 teachers who teach at night. We have a technology coordinator who also goes into all the classes and teaches a technology piece. And then we have an advisor. When we look for people, we just advertise and pull people in and interview. And people really enjoy our program because it is just such a unique program.
Through a very generous bequest through our corporation from Larry Bongiovanni in memory of his friend Don Grimshaw, we were given close to $250,000 to support the literacy program. And we believed the best way to do that was to do the renovation internally within the library. So we took the newspaper periodical reading room, we moved all the shelving out into the main reference room, and we're enclosing that, and that is going to become our high-tech lab. We're taking this room that is already our lab, we'll refurbish it into a cleaner, newer classroom. And then the last 2 rooms on Nook Road, our study rooms, we're enclosing, making one a classroom and one a teacher's room with a counselor, so that they get all the benefit of what's required of them, the students.
People really enjoy our program. Traditional high school just isn't for everyone. We have a lot of students who come to us because they were bullied in school, they were good students, had good grades, but it just wasn't the best environment for them. We have small classes here, 10 to 15 people, and they're really a community. They all work together. Many times they plan to meet up and test on the same days. They carpool, and it's just a really nice community. We have them come together in June for a cap and gown graduation ceremony, and just to see the changes on their faces once they graduate is just amazing.
We are so pleased to welcome back on set Tom OBrien, who's the Plymouth County Treasurer. We have this segment called Treasury Notes with Tom OBrien. So let's go right into it. I have a question for you. The stock market has been going boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. How does that affect everybody? What should we be worried about? Should we not be worried about it? Take it away.
Well, first of all, I love the sound effects of the stock market. Can you do that again? We should probably have that. When people check the stock market, they get Julie's sound effects. And obviously it impacts people, and people are concerned about it, and they should be. It's been a volatile time in the stock market, certainly since the beginning of the year. However, let's take a step back. Let's take a deep breath.
Okay.
Let's recognize that for the last 5 to 6 years, we've had the largest growth and expansion in the stock market that we've seen certainly in our lifetime.
Right.
It's been one of the best periods of time to invest in our history. And a lot of professionals have believed that the stock market has become overvalued, that you can't continue to go up all the time.
Right.
At some point in time, the stock market, which is cyclical, needs to go down. And I think we're seeing that correction now. I think a lot of folks that invest regularly in the stock market feel that it's time for a correction. They don't want it to happen
define
quickly.
what a correction means? We hear that all the time, but I don't think a lot of people really know what does that mean.
Sure. I think the easiest way to think about it is as you're investing in a stock and it keeps going up, the value of that company sometimes isn't going up as well as the price is going up. So if the price so a stock gets overvalued.
Okay.
So a company is worth, let's say, $10 a share, but people are trading it at $15 a share. That's an overvalued stock.
Okay.
The correction would be a decrease in that stock value back to the $10 a share.
To what it's actually worth.
To what it's worth.
Okay.
And we've seen times where the stock market gets hot, if you will, and investors get excited about a particular segment. Think back to the dot-com bubble.
Yes.
And people were investing in all kinds of technology, and all of a sudden they realized that the stocks that they were investing in weren't worth the price that they were paying for it.
Right.
So the market had a correction and brought it back to what stocks were really worth.
Okay.
So given the fact that we've had 5 to 6 years of just steady increases in the stock market, unprecedented increases, there needs to come a period of time that slows down and reverses, and the trend goes back.
Right.
So here's a couple things. First of all, the stock market is cyclical.
Yeah.
So it will go down and it will go up.
Yeah.
What I try to tell people is remain calm, invest steadily and regularly, go through those ups and those downs, and plan long-term for retirement. My role as the Plymouth County Treasurer and the Chairman of the Plymouth County Retirement Board is to invest long-term.
Sure.
And so I have a luxury of looking out 20, 30, 50, 80, 100 years. And I recognize that the stock market, investment opportunities over that long period of time are going to perform better than if I put my money under the mattress.
Absolutely.
So the trick is to recognize that it's still a good idea
Right.
to invest in fixed income and in equities, even during a volatile stock market, because you need to have that money set aside in savings so that you have an opportunity to retire.
Okay. Let's talk about defined benefit plans or pension plans and defined contribution plans, which are more like 401ks.
Right.
What is, people don't understand, at least I'm people, I don't understand really this either. You deal with public sector employees' monies.
Correct.
So that is the defined contribution.
Defined
benefit plan.
Yep.
So explain the difference between those.
Sure, absolutely. So a defined benefit plan, and the easiest way to think about it, is a plan that no matter how much money you put in, you get a benefit at the point you decide to retire and begin to take money out.
Okay.
Now, obviously, you have to have a length of service and you have to be age appropriate.
Yep.
You can't retire at age 40 with 10 years of service. I know, people wish that they could.
Right.
You have to hit certain age limits and age objectives before you can do that. But regardless of the amount of money, your benefit remains the same for the rest of your life.
Okay.
That is a defined benefit plan. That's what we manage for public sector employees. And I want to talk about that because most people don't know that here in Massachusetts, in most instances, employees are contributing more than they need to contribute to cover the cost of that defined benefit plan for the rest of their lives.
Oh, okay.
We contribute 11% of our salary, 9 plus 2 of our salary to our own pension.
These are public sector employees.
These are public sector employees here in Massachusetts. In other parts of the country, they don't contribute as much. And in fact, one of the fascinating things, if you remember Detroit and their pension system suffered some bankruptcy. They were a non-contributory system, so their employees weren't contributing anything. But here in Massachusetts, you have to contribute 9% of your entire salary and 2% of any salary over $30,000.
Okay.
That's more than enough to cover that plan.
And based on that, with the 11% that you're putting into this defined benefit plan, if you live to be 70 or 110, you're going to get the same benefit until the day you die.
That's correct.
Okay. Whereas the contribution plan or the
defined contribution plan
or the 401k or whatever.
A 401k is a sample of an example of a defined contribution plan.
How is that different?
So in that instance, what you're doing is putting money aside
Yep.
during your working years,
Yeah.
however much you can. And by the way, if your company has a match,
Yeah.
match to the maximum.
Okay.
Because
Yep.
otherwise you're leaving money on the
It's
table.
free money, yep.
Well, no money's free,
Right,
but you
but
don't
yeah.
want to leave it on the table. And so whatever you build up as equity in that investment vehicle
Yeah.
is what you get as the benefit when you retire.
Right.
No more, no
Right.
less.
It's a fixed amount.
It's a fixed amount, not a fixed benefit.
Right.
And so if it's a lot of dollars and it can go for a period of time, that's
Yeah.
great. If it's not as many dollars as one needs to retire, it creates a bit of a problem. And that's why clearly the benefit of having a defined benefit plan
Is better.
outweighs the defined contribution plan.
Right.
It really is.
Right.
It takes the worry off the table. And as I tell our retirees that are members of our system, the Plymouth County Retirement System,
Mm-hmm.
which I'd love to talk about in a little bit too, you don't have to worry what happens to the stock market.
Yeah.
The only one that has to worry about that is me.
Is you, right,
That's why
right.
I'm losing all my hair.
Right.
I am the one that has to worry about what happens.
Yeah.
You're going to get your benefit
Yeah.
regardless of what happens to the stock market.
But the public sector employees get the advantage of this.
That's correct.
Can private sector employees get the same type of deal?
You know, in the 40s and 50s and in the 60s, certain corporations offered defined benefit plans.
Yeah.
So the answer to that question was they used to be able to.
Okay.
However, the private sector, I don't think planned as well as the public sector did. It became a cost to them, and in the cost-saving measures that a lot of corporations went through in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they eliminated those plans.
Okay.
I hear horror stories about people that thought they had a defined benefit plan with their company that they worked for 50
Right.
years, only to find out they
But
didn't.
they didn't. So when they retire, they have a lump sum, and then you have to figure out, okay, how much should I take each year because I might live 10 years, but I might live 30 years.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, okay.
And
so-
that's a worry.
Yeah.
However, I will tell you there is legislation at the federal level called Secure Choice Pensions,
Yep.
which is designed to offer a defined benefit option into the private sector.
Okay.
The challenge with doing that is portability. It's because people will shift employers, and so how
Yeah,
do you
right.
keep that money going
Yeah.
with you? And that's addressed in this legislation. So I'm a big advocate of the secure choice
Yeah.
pension option at the federal level. I'm hoping that it gains some traction. We have a lot of support here in Massachusetts,
Okay.
and we really need to work on that piece of legislation.
Okay, lots of stuff. 8 minutes went like that. We're all done.
And we didn't even get to talk about our performance this past year, so
we
we'll
will
have to do that next time.
Next time you're here. So thank you so much, Tom OBrien.
Of course, my
It was
pleasure.
wonderful to have you.
Great to be here.
And thank you for watching. If you want to see the show again, you can check out our website, and PCN is also on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook to get up-to-date info. We'll see you next week for a brand new PCN and PCN Life. From all of us at PACTV, have a great week.